Are you wanting to homeschool, but you are kind of lost at where do you start and how does it all work and what do you do, and you feel kind of sick to your stomach, but you're kind of stuck? Well, you have come to the right place. My name is Janae Daniels. I am the host of the School to Homeschool podcast, and these next 5 videos are a crash course roadmap on how do you homeschool. So very simple videos to get you at least a springboard starting. Now, for those of you that are longtime listeners of my podcast, this will be a good refresher course for you. And as after you've gone through the 5 videos, if you feel like, oh, wow, like I really want to know more, start back with video 1 of the podcast or episode 1 if you're listening. And then I go in a lot more depth about our story. I go into a lot more depth about deschooling and socialization and all of the things. This podcast is based on personal experience combined with a lot of research, data, and a little bit of faith. So welcome to the School to Homeschool podcast. In this episode, we specifically are going to be discussing homeschooling laws. So with that, let's get started. My name is Janae Daniels. I'm a wife, a mother of 6, and a former middle school teacher turned homeschool mom. I have kids in their 20s all the way down to elementary age and everything in between. Are you thinking about pulling your kids to homeschool like I did, but you are scared to death and don't know what to do next? My friends, I felt the same way, and you have come to the right place. I'm here to help your family leave the system so that you can take the hearts and minds of your children back. It is legal to homeschool in all 50 states. So regardless of what state you're in, it is absolutely legal to homeschool. There are no current federal laws about homeschooling. That's been turned back over to the states, and each state's homeschooling laws are a little bit different. Now, here's the tricky part, is finding your state homeschooling laws can be a little bit difficult if you don't know what you're looking for. Why I say that is the homeschooling laws in many state Department of Education websites are buried very, 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 very deep. Let me give you for instance. I was on one state's website looking up homeschooling laws for someone that I coach, and there weren't any listed. It took me to, there was a link that said the homeschooling laws, and it literally took me to the bill that had passed about homeschooling. And it was like 60 pages long of the homeschooling bill. So the question then becomes, okay, so then how do you find out your laws? Well, it's very simple. There is an organization called the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. And they are a group of attorneys that have gotten together, and there's attorneys from every state, and they've been able to go through and look at all of the different homeschooling laws and combine it into one location. And so in the show notes, I've put the link to the HSLDA, the Homeschool Legal Defense Association website, so that you can click on that and then in a very condensed way see what your homeschooling laws are. Okay, so you can click in the show notes, or if you're watching on YouTube, the description below has the Homeschool Legal Defense Association website. Now, it is a membership website, so those are free to look at. I ended up finally joining as a member of HSLDA because when I came up against some things that I'm like, wait a minute, I don't think that's right. With the school district that we were in, I was able to call them and they were able to get me in touch with an attorney to discuss the homeschooling laws. Some states are really strict with homeschooling, and you have to submit an official notice of intent, and then you have to submit a curriculum. And other states are really easy. You just withdraw your kids and that's it. And then you've got everything in between. And so depending on the state that you live in, will determine how much information you need to give to the Department of Education, or in most states' cases, the school district in which you reside. So I'm in the state of Colorado, and so in my state, our laws are somewhere in the middle. But when you do submit whatever paperwork you have to submit, you want to submit only the bare minimum, okay? We don't want to give more than necessary. You want to give exactly the bare minimum of what the state requires or needs. And you have to understand that that public schooling laws and homeschooling laws are entirely different. The number of days that a public schooler is in is different than the days and the number of hours that a homeschooler has to do. Also, the state standards are often very, very different from the public schooling versus the homeschooling. So that's one thing. As you look at the Homeschool Legal Defense Association website, it'll be able to tell you in a condensed, really easy way to read what your homeschooling laws are. And then if you have more questions, you could join them and ask them more questions. Another thing that you can do is go onto the homeschooling website, homeschooling Facebook pages for your state. There's lots of different homeschooling groups for every state. Go on, also ask those mamas or get some clarification from some of those mamas. They know the laws. The homeschoolers know the laws. The key is we have to obey the laws if we want to keep homeschooling legal and protected and all of those things. So you also go into those Facebook groups, ask those mamas what some of the laws are. They'll be able to clarify as well. First, check the HSLDA website, and then also go on Facebook to have some clarification if you're still confused, like, what do I do? I wish I could give you all of the state laws, but that would take forever for me to do. So go to the HSLDA website and check out the state law. So that's the very first thing that you're going to do is find out what you need to do legally to homeschool. And again, you want to look at the homeschool laws, not the public school laws, because the laws are usually very different. Let me give you for instance. In the state of Colorado, where I reside, the public school has all these state standards and expectations for graduation, and every subject has 50 different things that children are expected to learn by the time they're X age and by the time they hit the next grade. Whereas in the homeschooling laws for the state of Colorado are pretty simple. It's you have to homeschool 172 days for an average of 4 hours a day for a total of 688 hours minimum. And you need to cover certain subjects such as history, reading, writing, constitution, mathematics, science, missing one. Anyway, that's it versus pages and pages and pages and pages of state expectations. It's a paragraph for the homeschoolers of what they need to learn. So the laws are very, very different. Okay, so that's the very first thing you're going to do. Check out your state laws to learn what you need to do. And then once you know the laws, the next thing that you're going to do is what we call deschooling, which you're going to find in the next video. Now, the next video is very long. You're going to want to watch it to the end. It will open your eyes to this whole transition period, as well as the public school system. And I give you a little bit of a history of the education system in the United States, which I've done extensive research on, and stuff that I didn't know when I was teaching public school myself. I am a secondary ed teacher, although I am legally licensed K through 12. I taught middle school. I no longer teach, but I still am licensed in the state. And contrary to popular belief, it's actually an easier transition for those of you who have never been a teacher before or in education before to homeschool than those of us who we have a lot of stuff that we have to get rid of in order to homeschool mentally. So with that, we'll see you in the next video.